Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today I think is a kind of special one. As if it wasn't obvious by everything, like the way I talk and all that, I'm Australian and I want to shift the focus on my channel to Australian products just where I can, because I'm passionate about supporting Australian makers and manufacturers and all of that kind of stuff. And today I get to do that. Today I'm reviewing a pen from the Australian pen maker Pens by Casey, as it finds on Instagram, Casey Giddins here, from regional Victoria. Casey basically makes custom pens and you know, sort of works with you to make combinations of materials, all that kind of stuff. So today I'm going to show this pen. I'm going to talk about the parts and features of this particular pen, but just know that, you know, having a conversation with Casey, you can create a pen that is right for you with the right materials you want, and I'll talk a little bit about that here. So it comes in this very simple cardboard magnetic box with the Pens by Casey logo there on the front. You open it up and there we get the pen, little Pens by Casey card with some information and all of that kind of stuff. There's no website just yet, but Facebook and Instagram and places like that. So I'll link to that. Get a little ink sample. I got the ink I've actually got in this pen at the moment, which is Robert Oster Muddy Sand, which another Australian ink brand, which I really love. And this is the pen. So I'm going to talk about the parts and features of this particular pen, talk a little bit about some things, give a couple of pros and cons, but they're not so important as this is more a custom pen and they're all going to be different. They're made by Casey by hand on a wood lathe, so the dimensions will be slightly different depending on what you want and all of those kinds of things. I'll do a writing sample and yeah, we'll see how we go. So this pen is made from, and now to get this right, exhibition grade Californian bird's eye redwood burl and Italian acrylic. It has a high gloss lacquer finish on it. The pen is a big pen. It is large. It screws, the cap unscrews in 1.5 turns, and they are triple start threads. So you get a nice, secure, quick cap and release. On that, the section is the same acrylic as the finials, these nice big flat tops. You get the acrylic, this red band, which I love, and then the wood, and the same on the end here, the acrylic, the red band, and then the wood, red band, and then the acrylic. You get a step down off the pen. It is a sort of a significant step down. Threads are nice and smooth, and then a nice sort of tapered and then flared out section there with a number 6, and this is just a steel Yovo nib, but the nibs are tuned by Casey and this one is wonderful, as you'll see when we get to the writing sample. It is a cartridge converter pen, standard international, which is superb. The barrel of the pen is lined with acrylic. It gives it some good stability, and you know, when you're talking about like woods and things like that, even with these like high gloss finished woods, it just adds some durability as well. And the cap is lined actually with ebonite, and this has got a plastic feed, and those are the basics of the pen. It's beautiful. The finishing is wonderful. This wood is just absolutely stunning, and there are a couple of points where you thread it and the pattern lines up quite nice, or the pattern in the wood, like the cut of the wood, lines up quite nicely, which is a really nice thing to see. These are basically kind of, you know, custom made pens, and because of that, Casey involves you in the process, shows you the different combinations of materials in, you know, photos and things like that as you go, as well as things like progress shots. So you're involved all the way through the process. But because they are custom, the price point is higher, as you would expect. These are works, not just functional pieces of, you know, writing instruments, but they are also like artisan works. A lot of care and attention to detail goes into the making of these pens. And so for a basic sort of resin pen, you're looking at, and all this depends on the materials and the kind of material and the, you know, the design and all those kinds of things. But for a basic resin pen, you're looking for 160 to 200 Australian dollars. For a timber pen, 280 to 400 kind of price point. And so something like the example of this particular pen with, the Californian Bird's Eye Redwood Burl, the Italian acrylic, all of that, is looking around the 350 Australian dollar mark. So you are buying a individually crafted piece, beautifully made, cared for, time and attention, and beautiful materials. So you are buying a work of art as well as a pen. And I think that kind of goes across custom makers in general. Like, I think it's great to be able to support these makers, and if you are looking for a pen and you have the capacity, talk to your local pen makers, commission, and Casey Giddins is a great example of someone that is doing amazing work in this realm. So just the example of this pen, we've got the Lamy Safari here. So you can see it is a big pen. We are talking a big pen. It's long, it's got great girth. It's just absolutely fabulous. Uncapped, you see it is still got a great length on it. It's a nice size in the hand. The pen doesn't post, however, but at this sort of size, you really don't need it to. And if we post here the Safari, you see that extends it out way beyond, but really a pen of this size in your hand, you do not need to post a pen like that. So once again, as I said, these are custom pens, so everything is going to be slightly different depending on what you get, what you want. But this particular pen is about 158 millimeters long. Uncapped, it comes in about 143, which is actually just longer than like a capped Lamy Safari, so it's a good size. The section here goes from about a centimeter or 10 millimeters to just around 11, I think, and so it's a nice size. The pen weighs 26 grams, 9 in the cap and 17 in the body, so it's a nice weight in your hand as well as the size. Let's do a writing sample now. So this is Casey Giddins, which is Pens by Casey. I don't have a model name or anything like that, but as I said, it is made of Californian Bird's Eye Redwood Burl. Obviously, I think getting the Bird's Eye name from those dots in the wood, and as you see, as the pen is cut, it's kind of, you get them sort of elongated out through, and it's just beautiful. It has a number 6 Yovo steel. This is a medium nib. And the ink in this, as I said before, is Robert Oster Muddy Sands, from the Muddy series of inks that Robert has produced. Beautiful ink. Actually, super interesting color. If I just pull up the swatch I have of it here, it's sort of this, I think Muddy Sands is a great name for it. It's that sort of dark, sort of sandy brown, almost sort of, almost green sort of undertone to it. It's lovely. Let's do the writing. So you can see it writes very well. This is a 90-gram Clairefontaine paper, so it's a very ink-friendly paper, and you can see it writes nice and wet. It's smooth, it's reliable. Reverse writing is possible. A little drier, much thinner. It's not a flexi. These Yovo nibs are not flexi. You just let more ink down onto the page. The pens are the nibs are tuned by Casey, and under its own weight, it just writes so effortlessly. This is a beautifully tuned nib. It's quite a typically broad medium from Yovo, but you can see it writes well. It writes reliably. Oh, that was just me not lining the pen up on the page. You can see. That was me not lining the pen up on the page. You can see when I'm writing, there's no problems here. There's no starvation. There's no issues with, hard starts or anything like that. It writes beautifully. The nib has been really, really well tuned. So what are the pros and cons of a pen like this? Well, obviously, it's not really a con, but they are not inexpensive pens, but you are, as I said just before, you are paying for a work of art. You're paying for an artisan's work and their time and their dedication to your pen, and you're getting something that is unique and beautiful. The size of the pen, if you like, I have here the Magnum Opus from Galen Leather. Got a couple of other pens in there. You can see it, for some pen cases, like it fits in here, but it's against the top. So if you're using smaller pen cases, just be aware that, like, you know, if you're getting a pen made by someone, those are things you can take into account, you know, what you actually use and the size you want and all those kinds of things. On this particular model, something that may not be for everyone's taste is that step down off the barrel onto the section. What I will say about that is that it's a good size section at around that 10 to 11 millimeters. It's a nice length, and because it's got a lot of body in the size in the back of the pen, it doesn't, like, you're not pinching down on it because it's a good size, and there's enough room for you to hold it there behind that. And also that step down isn't sharp, so like not a big concern. But the massive pros with this pen, the size, once I use as a pro, because like it is just so beautiful in the hand at that size, it doesn't pose, you don't need to. The nib is beautifully tuned. It writes so well. The threads are lovely. Like, there is often the chance with pens that are sort of like, I use the term hand turned, that they will be, you know, like you get a little bit of sort of like that cross threading. I don't find it very often with this, and like with any pen, if you find cross threading, if you just twist it back a quarter turn and then go back in, it unlocks it and you're absolutely fine. But I haven't found that with this pen. I love these red details in the design. I think that's absolutely beautiful, and it sets apart this this wood and the finish on that into the Italian acrylic finials. I love the balance of the pen, as I said, and the size in the hand. It feels very comfortable, and because it's not heavy, you can write for hours, and especially with the nib this smooth and generous on the page, you have no problem with that. And the other thing I love is the materials. So like, this is a lovely acrylic that has been chosen here, and the Californian bird's eye redwood burl is beautiful. These patterns through the wood are lovely, and then the high gloss finish. Like, the high gloss finish makes it hard to film this video because you see my light reflecting everywhere, so I'm trying to find little angles to be able to show you everything. It's just such a beautiful glossy finish that's going to protect the pen and just make it a joy to have in your hand. So a big thank you to Casey for sending this pen, you know, for this review. I've loved using it over the last couple of weeks. It is just beautiful, and the craftsmanship on display is unreal. So if you're in Australia or anywhere and you want to check out a lovely custom pen maker, I've got a couple of Australian pen makers that I'm going to be featuring in the next couple of months, which I'm really excited about. Because it's great to get Australian works out there. But check out Pens by Casey Giddins there. I'll link to a few things below, or check out my Instagram, and there'll be links to Pens by Casey as well. Casey's been making these pens in regional Victoria for the last 4 years, just going about doing their thing, making really high quality stuff with a passion for, you know, materials and timbers with like a wow factor, which this absolutely is. Casey Giddins, Pen by Casey, one to support. So thank you for watching. I hope you found this video interesting and useful. Please like and subscribe, hit the notifications button if you've got a product you think I should be looking at, or if there is a way you'd like to support this channel by sponsoring a review or providing an item for review. I would love to hear from you. If you are an Australian maker, or you have worked with Australian makers, you know, pens, inks, notebooks, stationery products, all that kind of stuff, I would love to hear from you. In the meantime, enjoy your pens, and I'll talk to you soon.